Hi everyone, it's Victor speaking, and I hope you like the background. We are in eclipse season, so I wanted to honor the eclipse season with a nice background as well. So welcome to the last week of May video, which will give you tips and hints about how to navigate your life with astrology. And if you are new to my channel, then welcome, and make sure you don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video with others. So that was the self-promotion, and maybe one more, which I would like to mention. I will be holding a free live webinar on YouTube about Pluto return in the US chart, which is going to be happening on the 29th of May. And we will be discovering a little bit more about the US Sibley chart and what this Pluto retro or what this Pluto return might indicate. Probably you're going to be asking why, Victor, we always talk about US. And one of the reasons is because, in my opinion, whatever happens in the US really affects the world as well. But let's get started with the weekly forecast. Which is going to be starting on the 24th of May and finishes on the 31st. So we have got a little bit of an astrological break on the 24th and the 25th. And then after, we are actually diving into the eclipse season. On the 26th, we are going to be having the first lunar eclipse of the year. Now, I have made a video separately about this, so I'm not going to go into so much details. I recommend listening to that video where I broke it down, what it might bring on a world scale, and also what it might bring for you as well on an individual level. But to kind of summarize with a couple of words, it's definitely a very emotional one. Usually the body is not necessarily the strongest at the moment of a lunar eclipse. And we need to make sure that somehow we don't overburden the body. So it's very much about taking an extra care about yourself. Make sure you only put things into your body which is necessary and needed. And because it happens in the sign of Sagittarius, it is very much about letting go of some of the old ideas, beliefs, and dreams, probably visions as well. So because you have outgrown something, and you're going to have to look at what area of life the Sagittarius cusp is falling into your chart. Is that the 7th house relationship related? Is that 10th house it's work related? Is that something to do with 3rd house? Maybe we started a course which we kind of need to leave behind, and so forth. So, and during lunar eclipse seasons, we can easily feel depleted as well. So ask yourself the question, what do I need to step away from? But as I mentioned, for further information, listen to the video about the lunar eclipse I made recently. Now, the first kind of real aspect of the week is Venus squaring Neptune, which is happening on the 27th of May on 22 degree of Gemini to 22 degree of Neptune. Now, whatever Neptune touches, it kind of dissolves it. It confuses that planet. And Venus is the planet of love, money, pleasure, likes and dislikes in our lives. So maybe you get a little bit confused because something you have enjoyed doing so much, it does not necessarily give you as much pleasure anymore. Or maybe it's all about me wanting to be feeling united somehow with my partner, and then it doesn't give me a sense of happiness at the moment. Or we can easily get disappointed in people as well, because we might feel misled by them, or someone didn't really live up to our expectations. And if it brings in the expectation part, you're going to have to examine whether was I really realistic when I set those goals and expectations to someone, or actually it's just really others being very reluctant. Remember that Neptune is the planet of forgiveness. So it is always seeking out for kind of nirvana and ecstasy, something which is kind of very elevated. And it's very easy that we create kind of a vision which others cannot really understand or cannot really live up to, or maybe they can't even assimilate themselves with it. So with Venus and Neptune square, we always have to look into the mirror as well. Now, also, of course, Venus talks about expenditures. Well, this is the day when we really might be spending way more money than we should be, and usually on unnecessary things as well. Or Venus, another important meaning is something to do with love. We can easily fall in love as well because we kind of wear those rose-colored glasses, and then it could lead to confusion and disappointment later on. So maybe this is not necessarily the most brilliant day of making commitments in our partnership. However, it is a brilliant date, for instance, to go on a date and have fun, or just being around people we really enjoy their company. So if it's about making a mistake, because with Neptune it's very easy, you know, one of the first things which you might want to remember is that with Neptune, we're going to have to show some compassion and forgiveness to others, and also towards yourself as well, because Venus rules over self-worth. So it could really talk about the fact that I don't really feel beautiful. I don't really see the nice parts of myself, you know, and then eventually we might just want to retreat. And then even we might actually end up eating too much sweets, because Venus rules something to do with your cravings as well. So there is an element of an overindulgence with this aspect also. Now, of course, depending whether what Venus rules in your chart, you're going to have to look at that too. But there is an element of creating kind of an image in my head about my long-term goals, or how I want to be earning money. And then we can be very kind of excited and elevated about that, and we can easily forget about the small details. So this aspect also very much talks about stepping back a little bit and then reviewing some of the long-term goals, what we want to be doing. Now, Venus square Neptune transit also talks about insecurities about how we look like, or just generally speaking about yours, because you might feel that others are just looking at me like very strangely and oddly, and you might believe that this is because do I have got something on my face and so forth. So you can become a little bit like what's the word in English, like you know, like it doesn't come to my mind, but I'm sure you know what I'm thinking about. So we can become a little bit distorted, and we might not be in the real world with this. It could also indicate some relationship difficulties as well. It's typically down to poor self-image about yourself. So but the best thing you can really do is just look into the mirror and then check out what you really love about yourself. Because every single of us has got something beautiful to find on our body, in our personality, and you might want to be focusing on that. I would also say that this might be talking about the fact that you feel like you are the doormats of others. So you feel like someone is using you, someone is taking advantage of your forgiveness, or taking advantage of your helpful nature as well. And of course, when it comes to Venus, which is one of those planets ruling over sexuality, of course, alongside with Mars as well, which is also going to be getting a main role at the end of the week, trining Neptune. So you might believe that, you know, I'm just kind of like a object in the relationship, and how I'm going to change that. So with this Neptune squaring Venus, it's all about having a mutual understanding and kind of a trust with my partner, because this time around we can be very distorted. Now, the next aspect is Venus conjuncting Mercury, and which is going to be happening on the 29th of May. Now, why this is special for us is because Mercury is actually stationed at the moment, meaning that he is not moving anywhere. And Mercury can be very kind of frustrated because it's against its nature to be standing at one point. So it wants to be kind of quick. It wants to go ahead with things. It wants to be processing all the information possible. And this time around, those are not coming. Now, this is a helpful aspect, in my opinion, because Venus is all about giving a comfort to Mercury. So imagine that you really want to be doing something. For instance, I really want to be going outside now, walking with my doggies, but it's raining like cats and dogs. So maybe I need to be finding a Venusian topic, which is all about comforting to my Mercury, which wants to be on the go. So it's very much about giving support, comfort, or being together with someone you kind of really enjoy talking to. And that's going to be taking away that edges from the Mercury slowness. Mercury rules over your hands, and Venus is quite artistic. So this is actually a brilliant day to do something artistic as well, or producing something beautiful. Now, typically this is more about writing abilities because it's happening in the sign of Gemini. Or it could be that I'm updating my website, I'm going to be making it more beautiful, or I'm going to be somehow window shopping as well, in a sense, because I slow down a little bit and I look at beautiful things. So communication can actually slow down with our loved ones as well. It might be not the words which matters here the most, but more about maybe just sitting next to each other on a sofa and then watching telly and enjoying just holding hands, for instance, with our loved ones. Now, I have made a very intense video about Mercury retrograde. So I'm not going to be speaking about that in this video. If you are interested how Mercury retrograde affects you over the next couple of months, I recommend checking that video out. But I also feel like this Mercury Venus period is actually a very good time to say something which you have been planning for a long time to your loved ones. So this is very much about revisiting some of the old topics in a sense, and then actually we might be able to speak about those in peace. So you can easily get in touch with your loving and caring nature as well today, which probably maybe your partner has been missing for a while. Or it might be just about expressing your feelings, which is very internal at the moment, and you might have not shared that with others. Venus is the planet of gifts, so it might be the fact that it's just handing a gift over to a person, kind of showing appreciation for someone. Or it's just displaying the feeling of love as well. It's very possible that it's going to be reciprocated as well because it's Mercury retrograde. It might not be happening immediately. It might be happening just a couple of weeks down the line. But there is an element of a long-term investment with this Mercury and Venus into something we enjoy or into people we really love being together. Of course, there is an element of trading and negotiations also favored here, but not necessarily about signing the contract. But we might be able to have a more of a business chat with someone over a coffee or maybe walking in the park, not necessarily in the official environment. And the reason being is because Mercury is slow now, so it's a little bit more attentive. It has got the time to kind of find the right moment to have these serious type of chats, or even we can soothe out some of the disputes with others. However, not necessarily the most favorable time still to kind of sign a contract unless it's been going on for a while. But I've also spoken about that in the Mercury retrograde video in a lot more depth. Now, the next day is, the next important aspect is going to be on the 31st of May, when Mars is going to be trining Neptune on 23 degree of Cancer to 23 degree of Pisces. And this aspect has got that kind of spiritual warrior essence. So we can really become someone who is motivated by, for instance, helping a charity organization or somehow doing something for the greater good. So Mars is very much about devotion, and Neptune is all about saving something. So it might be just the fact that I'm going on the street and then I see a stray dog and, I'm going to try to find its owner, or I'm just going to take it to a shelter for a checkup and all those type of things. But you can really devote some of your time as well for spiritual matters as well. I usually describe Mars in Pisces or Mars in connection to Neptune, that there is this warrior who is trying to swim through the ocean. And of course, it's very motivated at the beginning, but then Neptune starts cooling that Mars energy down. So we've got a very hot planet with a very cold planet kind of coming together. So even though it's a trine, eventually Mars might lose that passion and kind of desire to accomplish something. And you need to be mindful about that as well. Mars being in the sign of Cancer very much talks about your mood. So your actions are very much related to the current mood of yours. So therefore, we're going to have to look at where Moon is resided at the moment. And Moon is actually in the sign of Aquarius in very tight conjunction to Saturn. So this could go two ways, really. So I can be depressed over not being able to finish something. Mars and Saturn are very much related to depression. Mars, in my opinion, is more the depression, and Saturn is more about the anxiety part. And I kind of don't feel loved. I don't feel nurtured. So what is the reason for me trying so hard, to fight for family members, for instance, or fighting for people I love? I don't get anything in return. But Saturn and other, Saturn and Moon are in Aquarius, which is very much about universal flow in a sense, alongside with that Neptune, so the collective energies. So you might feel too small, actually, too small, and that's the reason why you kind of feel depleted in a sense. Or that Saturn could really have got that kind of laser focus as well. And I'm going to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel no matter what. So I feel like your emotions are definitely a focal point here. And it might be also about some anxiety, what the future is bringing for us. So typically this Mars and Neptunian energy is that at the beginning we are very productive, and then at the end we kind of lose that motivation. So you might want to be just mindful about this aspect. However, some of the positive ones is that this Mars becomes quite intuitive. It is ready to follow its gut instincts. And usually I also describe Mars-Neptune aspect as in, I don't even know how it's called in English actually, but not the skateboard, but the one you ride in in the sea, right? It's like a skateboard, and it's just all about finding that right balance. And then once you are on those waves, then actually that wave is kind of carrying you forward. So it might be something you have been trying several times, and then it kind of fails because of that Neptunian kind kind of illusionist energy. But once you find it, that trine is actually giving you an opportunity to have an easy flow of energy. But Mars being in Cancer, it's a frustrated sign for Cancer. So you do need to be aware that, your energy, your mood can be quite fluctuating as well. But also this Mars Neptune can really stimulate your sensuality or creativity or even the community spirit within yourself as well. Sorry. Mars is the planet of sexuality, so you might actually want to be spending a lot more time in the bedroom, and you might even feel kind of like a strong magnetic like attractiveness and charm around yourself as well. So this could really talk about some very passionate romantic moments as well. Yes. So, and then the final aspect of the week, probably which we're going to spend a little bit of a time to speak about, because it's Sun conjunct in the North Node. And this is very much about, we are kind of like in the middle of the eclipse season. So we had the lunar eclipse on the 26th of May, and then on the 31st, Sun is going to be conjunct in the North Node. So as I said, the lunar eclipse is very much of an emotional one this time around. And you might not be able to actually verbalize of why I am so emotional. Now that Sun actually can help you spotlighting the reasons when it's conjunct in the North Node. I usually describe the middle of the eclipse season is like you are trying to run out of a dark forest because you've got your fears, and then you are walking towards the light. So that's exactly what that lunar eclipse transitioning into a solar eclipse could really, really talk about. So a very emotional one to start with, but it somehow gets spotlighted for you around the 31st. Now, with North Node, there is always this element of insatiable hunger going on. So you might be hungry for being noticed, being promoted, becoming kind of a boss of my own life. But also, I might be very hungry to express how I feel, or kind of verbalize something which has been haunting me for a very long time. So just watch out, especially in the next 2 weeks, 2 months, I would say, of what you might be overdoing, what you tend to be overdoing, because that could be a little bit too much as well. But of course, there are plenty of positive manifestation of these too. So it could actually help growing your will. It can help growing your self-confidence and your self-belief as well. Sometimes we might become a little bit too cocky with North Node and the Sun. But also there could be some very fated, predestined events coming to your life as well, especially wherever Sun is placed currently in your chart, or you also need to be looking at what Sun rules in your chart. So this could really talk about some type of new developments in your karmic path. Maybe it's all about discovering some of your potentials and talents. So it's kind of like unlocking one part of your karmic journey. So I would really kind of encourage you to watch out for this transit. What is happening around plus minus 3-4 days, I would say, because that could be kind of giving you a catharsis, kind of a renewal. So it's kind of like downloading new type of life missions for yourself, which is helping you to become who you need to be becoming in this incarnation. The Sun is the ultimate goal, the final destination of your life, where I need to be arriving. And this is going to be affecting Geminis definitely the most. And Gemini is here to kind of spot patterns, to spot trends, to ask questions, and to be extremely curious about things. So you might be actually having that insatiable hunger to study, to get to know someone, or to get to know things about yourself as well. You can also get some type of support from high-ranking people or just some type of powerful personality as well, typically males, especially. Sun talks about your vitality as well. So actually you might feel plenty of energy this time around, and it's worth kind of investing effort into that house position wherever the sun is at the moment in your chart in the sign of Gemini. So basically looking at where the Gemini house cusp is in your life. Because the sun conjunct in North Node really can bring some turning points in your life. And it might not be manifesting immediately, but it's very possible that you are going to be seeing some advancements, especially I would say somewhere from mid-July, beginning of August onwards. Now, yeah, so this is pretty much what this week's energy is all about. So I hope this video helps you to kind of navigate your life a little bit more with astrology. And don't forget to attend the Pluto written in the US chart webinar, which is going to be taking place on the 29th. It's going to be probably about 1.5 hours. And it is live, so you might want to be just setting the reminder button on the video as well if you look for it. So thank you very much for being here and your continuous support, and see you shortly with the next video. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.